This is an old Craftsman lawnmower I got in a lot. There were 4 mowers eventually in the lot. I thought I was only going to pick up 3. And it's 20 bucks. Sight unseen. I think I could probably make like a will it run video out of this. This one looked like it was sitting around for a long time outside. There's a bunch of bird crap all over it. Cobwebs, detritus. This is a Briggs quantum engine from 2003. So it's been around a little over 20 years. I'm going into this blind. I haven't taken a look at this yet. Other than that, I noticed that the engine's tight. I don't think it's completely locked up, but it's tight. So I'll probably want to get that spark plug off and get oil in there. That's pretty dark and potentially overfilled. Doesn't smell like gas though. The gas tank looks empty. Doesn't smell great, but it looks empty. The guy I got this from, he used to work on small engines, he said, and he just got too old, so a lot of them are missing parts. This is the most complete one. Some of them are missing spark plugs. This one's missing part of the airbox in the filter, which we don't need to get it running. One thing I might check before I try just blasting carb cleaner in here is get this fuel line off and see if there's any real nasty garbage and water at the bottom of this tank that we can't see. It's 3 screws to get this cover off and get at the fuel line. We'll probably skip through part of that because I mean, you don't need to see me take these 3 off. You know what? I changed my mind because this might be helpful for somebody. These are size 5/16. This is only my 4th. Oh, I'm tightening it. What am I doing? This is only my 4th small engine that I've worked on. And I decided to start with this one because 2 of the previous ones I've worked on were Briggs quantum engines as well. I got a free pressure washer. That was my 2nd engine. That one was the quantum engine. Got it in the condition of not running, and the pump didn't work. I replaced the pump with a $50 Amazon one that's rated for higher PSI. Apparently, we'll see if that's actually the case and if it destroys the engine or something. But that one was listed as not working. I didn't even have to clean the gas tank out on that one or anything. The oil, I think, had some gas in it. Alright, so that came off. The oil had some gas in it. Well, I don't need to talk about it right now anyway. You might see it in this video. I'll probably bring it out and clean this this mower off. That box is a little dirty. Some oil in it, so somebody's had some accidents with this in the past. Fuel line looks okay. Carb actually looks pretty clean from the outside so far. Here. So what I've got, I don't know how well this is going to work. It's worked in the past. I've got a glass jar so you can see the fuel real well and see if water separates out. These hose clamps are just like what you would have on a car for the most part. I've got the proper pliers for that, but I'm not using them, of course. Because you can do this just with needle nose pliers. See if anything comes out of here. Uh-oh. Might have to tip it. Whoever drained this drained it pretty well. I've already done this even. Normally I wouldn't want to tip it this direction, but all you can see is my arm probably right now. All right, that's good enough for me. That's not half bad. There's some junk in the bottom, but I don't see any water separating out. And it doesn't smell great, but it doesn't smell bad either. So what we might do is just put that hose back on. Because it came off the gas tank too. Put that hose back on. This is a really crappy hose too, it's plastic. Oh. Well, that gasket's no good. I have to replace that. Might end up just replacing this carb anyway. These Briggs Quantum carbs are like, sometimes you can get them for like $4 or $5 on Amazon. Wow, this line sucks. It's not even long enough. But anyway, yeah. You get a Chinese replacement carb for nothing for these. When I put this back on, I'm going to put it back on where I can actually access those tabs. Yeah, see? That's not great. But, oh well. Live and learn. So we could take this bowl off and look at it. If I can find the right size socket. That'll work. That's a 1/2. Well, there's fuel in the carb. Oh, yeah. That looks tasty. See that? So that needs a little bit of cleaning. That doesn't look great. The jet. So let's spray these off. One other thing before I forget. This float. See how it's sitting pretty much horizontal there? That's good. So the needle and seat might be okay in here. We'll see. I think what I'll do is I'll clean up that bowl. Might even just put that gas right back in here and see if it starts that way. Why don't we do that, since it's not too dirty. Put the bowl back on, fill the gas tank, and we'll see if it starts. Well, actually, after we've got oil in here. in the combustion chamber. All right, that's a 13/16. That was not very tight. That's a little dirty and wet. Doesn't smell like oil. I'm gonna look in there. Doesn't look too bad. I'm gonna try just throwing some of this ATF in there, automatic transmission fluid. It's real handy to have it in this bottle with a dripper. I'll just squirt a whole bunch in there. ATF is it's not only just a lubricant, it's also a very powerful detergent. It's very good for cleaning things. See if I can slosh it around in there a little bit, maybe. That doesn't feel or sound good. Getting a little better. I guess the question then will be if everything's even moving in there. Oh yeah, okay. That valve's moving. That's good. Let that soak a while. So we got that main jet. I guess you could see light through there, so that's not too bad. It's still kind of gunged up, so I've got a twist tie, regular old twist tie, and handy carb cleaner. And we'll see about cleaning both of these things up a little bit. Let's see if we stick it in the center there, if it'll come out both sides. So we should see that. A little bit. I don't know if I had it in shot the whole time there. I don't even know what I might name a YouTube channel if I make one for this stuff, so bit of a novice, especially when it comes to working on small engines. I've tinkered quite a bit. Let's see if we can find one of those. Oh, you can't see it. There's carb cleaner in there still. I've tinkered quite a bit with all kinds of different things, but not small engines yet. Oh, you can actually see through there really good now. Let me get some of that junk off the sides. So I figured if I did make a YouTube channel doing some of this stuff, it'd just be a good demonstration that anybody can do it. These engines aren't complex. Ugh. Whatever was falling apart in that ring, I hope it wasn't the gasket. I haven't looked at that yet. Or the O-ring anyway. I'm not sure if that's... I don't think that's necessarily rust. It could just be varnish from old gas. Gas sat in there for a long time. At some point, what I might do is fill the bowl up, at least to the point where it would spill over the end, and then just cover it with something like a rock. Nice flat rock right here, and then we'll come back and check on it later, see if that cleaned up any of the deposits. The carb cleaner can't evaporate now. All right, so we got the valves and the cylinder stewing in ATF, and we've got the bowl and the jets soaking in carb cleaner. So in the meantime, it's a good time to look at the spark plug and see if the gap is all right. I've just got a gapper, a regular gapper. These are a couple bucks at the store if you've never used one. Use them for lawnmowers or cars. Mind the mess, by the way. And that's the first engine I ever worked on, small engine. It's a 1969 Simplicity. We'll probably look at that at some point. But anyway, you can look up the manual for the engines for these to figure out what the gap needs to be. The first two groups of numbers that I showed at the start of the video, you've got one block and then a space or a dash and another block. If you look that up on Briggs' website, you get the manual. The spark plug gaps are typically like 0.03 for Briggs, from what I've seen so far. So you take this, you slide the end of the electrode, or I'm not even sure what that's called, but over this edge, and then you slide this around until it stops, and that's your measurement. So this one's right in the center of 0.02 and 0.03, which is way off. This needs to go wider. And I've noticed a lot of people don't do that. They don't check the gaps on mowers the simplicity was way off when I got it too, at least after I cleaned it. But first, we're going to wire this off. I put some carb cleaner in here to soak for a while, just down in this recess. Now I'm going to wire wheel the whole thing off with a drill, the wire wheel chucked up in it. Works real well to clean off old carbon and junk in here, to get these surfaces clean enough to where they spark real well. And that might mess up the gap, so that's why you want to gap it after, of course. And sorry about the lighting, it might not be great. Right. You can practically see it from there, how that looks pretty well cleaned up already. I might get that wire to stuff in there and clean out in the insulator area in there. There could be a whole bunch of carbon and oil and garbage in there. All right, I'm back with that same twist tie. The camera will focus on it. It's just a twist tie with some of the plastic exposed. And since I've already had carb cleaner in here, whatever deposits in here should be nice and loose. I don't see a whole lot in there, which is interesting because this is a Briggs & Stratton spark plug. It doesn't look to me like it's ever been replaced, so maybe this mower hasn't been used a whole lot. Maybe it just sat for a long time. That would explain why the motor seemed pretty close to seized. Alright, so that should be good. I will spray out some more after I get it out of the vise, but while it's in the vise, I will see if I can adjust the gap without having to pull it out, because it's so much easier that way. Almost there already, and it doesn't take much. You just use this hole. It's got a lip in there. You just pry up just a little bit. If you think it's not enough, it is, basically. Yeah, so even that little bit moved it. All right. So we're right at 0.03 now. All right, we're back to the bowl and jet. Let's check on those. So that still doesn't look too great, but I just had that soak in there. Let's see if that stuff wipes off now. See how much a little time helped? That's so much lighter than this here. It's not like I'm wiping it any more than I had previously. See all that garbage coming out? Just letting it soak for a while and carb clean. Alright. Clean up for me. While we're at it, before we put this back together, I'm just going to spray a little bit more carb cleaner in there. While it's apart. You don't want to get any on that seat, if you can help it. Those swell up, apparently. We'll see how this gasket does in the long term, potentially. That O-ring actually seems okay. We'll see if it ends up leaking. There we go. All right, here's our spark plug. It's not perfect in there, but it's much better than it was, and that's just with a wire wheel. I probably could have gotten that a little electrode in the center better, but so far I haven't had to replace any spark plugs. I just made sure the gap was alright and I cleaned them, and everything worked fine. So I guess the next thing we could do is maybe check and see if we get spark, which I guess might be kind of difficult with how hard it's been to pull this thing over. I was going to check for spark on that spark plug, but with how difficult it's been to pull over, I don't know how easy that would have been to get on video to begin with, and might as well just stick it back in there and see, right? It should be a little run video, not a diagnose everything before we even get it started. You can see now. It's turning a lot better than that. Still not great, but much better. Maybe once we get it started, it'll be better still. We'll just have to see if we can get it started. We're giving it a good fighting chance. Check that primer, huh? It's coming back. Guess I might as well put this whole thing back on and see how that goes. Right? Let's see if we can prime it to start it. I just cleaned some of the gunge out of this. Some carb cleaner while we've got it off. Not perfect, but it doesn't need to be. And I don't need to show you this part. This is another Craftsman mower. I've been lending this wheel to it. Because this one came with no wheel. And I've got the parts to work on the Briggs with the bird crap all over the deck. I don't have the parts to continue working on this one at the moment, which was the problem before. So this is a 9/16 socket. On these particular Craftsman, they have the same size wheels. It's as easy as that. Now I can throw this on the other mower and safely start it, or try. Here's our mower, the real stiff Craftsman 6.5 horsepower. I was going to start this one earlier before I started working on the other mower, but I noticed, I thought first, I'm like, wait, I should probably tip this thing and see if it actually has a blade on it. It turns out it had no blade adapter or blade on it. So these mowers are real basket cases so far. But hey, who am I to complain for 20 bucks, right? Alright, that's tight enough. Alright, wheels on, I've got parts. This is a blade adapter. The one on this one, you'll see it. These nubs are really worn down. And then there was like a collar on here on the original one that was broken. This is some premium Chinesium. I got to replace it because even this wasn't very cheap. It's like 15 bucks for this. Then this was the cheapest blade I could find for it, which is actually made in the US. That must be a miracle. It's a mulching blade because this still has the mulching attachment. On top of this being the cheapest blade I could find that's guaranteed compatible. So, you know, sometimes things just fall right into place. Now, one thing I'm going to do before I flip the mower over is I've got some of this expensive Mobil 1 synthetic grease, and I'm going to put it on this collar, or this blade adapter, because I've seen the drive shafts of mowers, just throwing a bunch on a Q-tip here. I've seen the drive shafts of mowers and other small engines rust up quite a bit. So I don't think that this is going to hurt. You know, it's keyed anyway, and if the key fails, then you've probably got a bigger problem anyway. This is just going to prevent it from rusting up where the two meet, in my opinion. And somebody that's worked on small engines might know more. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure it'll be fine. Now let's see if I can flip this mower and keep everything in shot here, or we'll have to readjust. Now, the carb is on top, if we're looking at the mower. From your perspective, the top up here, the carb is up here. And you don't want the carb facing down. Junk can get into the carb, oil can even get into the carb if the carb is facing down. The muffler is facing down, which is not necessarily good. There could be oil getting into the muffler, but that'll just smoke off and belch out of the muffler. You might not seem great, but it's really not that bad. It's better than the alternative. So, we're gonna have to get that nut on the bottom off. That one's also a 9/16, which is handy. The bottom of this deck is actually pretty clean. It's rusty, but it's not bad. I'll move that somewhere else. We're gonna have to get in there anyway. See what I was saying about rust? That's really on there. I will be right back again, maybe with a hammer, so we can shock that off. Alright, let's see about getting this thing off. I've got my spark plug wire disconnected. You always want to do that whenever you're working on the moving bits of the engine. This isn't moving so much though, which might actually be a benefit for us. I don't know where I should hit it from. I don't need to save this part, so I probably don't have to be too gentle. Maybe try just nudging it one way or the other. I don't want to bend the shaft. Well, that didn't do much of anything. It feels like it's rocking some. I don't know if there's anywhere I can get a pry bar in here to. Wow. Yeah. I can't imagine that deck is too tight or thick. What should I try here? What do you think? Maybe try to hit this with a hammer. We could do it flywheel style where we put pressure on it that way and then hit it like this. Oh, it's moving. It's coming. We got it. Yeah. Okay. See why I'd want to prevent that in the future? Now, those nubs. I don't think they're supposed to be that shallow. And anybody that's worked on more small engines can tell me, and everybody else in the comments, what do you think about that? But that's broken. That's definitely not supposed to be like that. So, get our adapter, and the way this works is we've got, if I can get it to turn, maybe I'll just throw you on the other side. So, I think you call that the keyway for the drive shaft there. That lines up with the nub that I now have a whole bunch of grease smeared on, but you can see it in there. So then that has to go something like that. Now we should find out which direction this spins. I'll see if I can turn it a little bit. Okay, that's hard to get enough leverage and still see, so it looks like it's spinning that way. Now these blades are directional, so if I put it on this way and the engine was spinning this way, it wouldn't be cutting, would it? It'd be using the blunt ends, so we've got to put it on that way. We're going to put the bolts. There we go. pull again and verify. Yeah, that's turning in the right direction. Now, it's important that this is torqued down enough. I checked for this mower, and also the other Craftsman actually that I'm working on has a Tecumseh engine on it, and it's 35 to 40 foot-pounds. So I'll be right back with a torque wrench. All right, I'm back with my torque wrench, and I've got wood block jammed in there. Just wherever I think it might catch, because we've got to turn it back this way to tighten that bolt. Come on, catch, stay. Alright, you hear that clicking? It's right at 40. Alright, now or never. Let's see if this old piece of junk will run. I don't remember if I left any gas in it. I think the plan was that I was going to prime it and see if it'll run. I guess I could try that first. If it doesn't run, it doesn't run in that case, right? So why don't we try priming it? I stuck you on the muffler side because we might get a whole bunch of smoke and oil coming out of there. The oil is very dark, so that needs to change after I've let it run, if it runs okay. We got our spark plug reconnected. Here goes nothing, I guess. Sounds like it's doing something. Why don't we give it one more for good luck? What do you think? That didn't sound too great to me. Try some carb cleaner in the carburetor. Well, that's not working. I don't remember if we checked for spark on this mower. Actually, I don't know if that's even, I might not be in all the way either. No, it is. Yeah. There's oil and stuff in there. Well, I'll check for spark first, and I'll see if I can throw some carb cleaner in there. That's holding on. All right, I finally got that somewhere where hopefully we can check for spark here. You know what, I probably wasn't even pulling that handle, now that I think of it. I'm so used to using old mowers, I don't think I was pulling the safety bar. That would be my problem right there, if that's necessary, right? Might be as close as I can get you. Now that'll work. All right, let's see if we're getting spark. Did we get spark? I'll go watch that video. Yeah, that was just me being dumb. I wasn't disengaging the brake. That might have been why it was stiff too. That's what happens, I guess, when you're used to working on lawnmowers from the year we landed on the moon. So, why don't we just pull it with the brake disengaged and we'll see what happens. If that doesn't work, then we'll try priming it. If that doesn't work, we'll try carb cleaner. All right, I think maybe we don't have any gas in there. I'll try topping some gas up. We definitely have at least some gas in there now. It was smoky, very smoky. That could have been the ATF I stuck in the cylinder. But let's see if we can prime it and get it started now. Sure sounds like it's doing something. So we're running a carb cleaner. It's not running off the tank. I don't have to look back. I don't remember if I took the whole carb off on this one or not. But that's probably our problem. Fuel delivery. We're back with the Craftsman Briggs. Should we call this, maybe, I mean, almost any of them could be called this, but should we call this the bird toilet mower? Because we've got some fresh stuff right here even. It's like the birds in their new location have already become accustomed to using this for relieving themselves on. So, feels like that's the proper name at this point. I've taken off the airbox because you've already seen that, so we don't need to get it on video again. I'm gonna take this whole carb off. I've got a seat coming that should be here potentially within half an hour. So by the time I've got this off and cleaned up, I should hopefully have a seat if that needs to be replaced. I think I said previously the O-ring looks fine for the bowl. According to myself anyway. I've got gaskets coming. I don't know if this one will work well enough for it to run, at least for the time being. But the gaskets won't be here until tomorrow by 10. Can you imagine that? Everything on Amazon used to be, you know, 1 or 2 day shipping guaranteed, and now they deliver things in the middle of the night, and you often have to purchase like up to $25 in qualifying purchases. You even end up getting 2 day shipping anymore. So I didn't show you this part of it. Briggs has got, on these Quantums, they've got at least 2 different pretty common carbs. Sometimes there's a choke here with a manual choke control mounted up here. This carb doesn't have that. Otherwise, it's the same as that other system. And unlike the Tecumseh, my first Tecumseh that I started working on, we're working on concurrently. You'll see that in another video. I'll probably link it. That linkage for the throttle control, that's what this is here. It makes a U bend. So you've got to bend it back towards the engine to get that carb off. This one, and is more typical of Briggs, even on my old Simplicity, is more like a Z. So I've got to bend it this way, carefully, so we don't actually bend that, to get the carb off. So here's our carb. We've got a wonderful dead spider there that I'm sure has been there for the last 10-15 years. This, I think that's what's supplying the fuel. It seemed to be working. There's fuel. Well, it's mostly evaporated now, but the primer was getting fuel. If you see this, see, so that was getting fuel. Unless some of that is literally just carb cleaner from when I was spraying it before, but you'd think that would have all evaporated by now. So let's take this somewhere where we can work on it and clean it out better and see if we can get this working without having to replace the carb. All right, we're back in our advanced carb cleaning facility with our specifically engineered rock. We should probably clean all the garbage off the outside of this before we take it apart. We don't want it to get inside, because then we're just cleaning it again, right? And Briggs carbs for the Quantum engines tend to be very cheap. Like I couldn't get this one quite as cheap as the last Briggs carb that I really had to work on. I got that one for like $4. But a replacement carb for this machine was actually like $7 or $8, so cheaper than the Tecumseh by a good margin, since both are already not huge value items to begin with, if you know what I mean. You know, $12 in the grand scheme of things shouldn't be a whole lot, but I don't know how much I could even sell a machine like this for when it's not in the best of shape, you know. Just cleaning that surface up a little bit, because that's where the carb meets up with an O-ring to go to the intake to the engine. That's a little grungy in there. I don't know if you could see it. So that definitely looked like there was some deposits in there. And again, I'm sorry if I'm not getting all this on screen. Oh, just got that all over the camera. All right. I think it's clean enough now to start. Well, first we'll see if we can get anything through here. I guess not with that. I'll need some welding wire, I guess is what people typically use. I might have some thinner wire than this that I can find off screen. Otherwise I can't get into that jet. To get the nut off the bowl, on this one we need a 1/2. And alright. Which you already know if you've been watching this video, I suppose. Well, we're definitely getting gas. Oh yeah, that is shot. Huh. It almost seems like there's more gunk in there than there was before. Maybe because we didn't fully clean out the gas tank. But I feel like I cleaned most of that stuff out. So you think old gas can make varnish deposits in there immediately after if you still got old gas in the system? Might need another can of carb cleaner soon here too. Something's gummy in there. Oh yeah, I should have taken all of this apart. Look at that. That looks terrible. And that's sitting mostly level? Out of the way. It feels sticky, that's for sure. Look at all that gunge in there. This has been sitting for a good long time with fuel in it. Wow. Yeah, that pin's stiff. As always, I don't come prepared to remove these. For some reason, I never grab a pair of pliers. I never have a pair of pliers with me. This stick might work. Yeah, that'll do it. Got it out with a stick, like always. Maybe that should just become the theme of my carb cleaning. Use a stick to disassemble the float assembly. All right, that's clean enough already. Let's see what this looks like. Well, that just fell right off. That float has obviously seen better days. Yeah, look at all that. I mean, there's not a whole lot where it matters. That actually looks pretty clean on the end, but there is a whole bunch of garbage all over that needle. And the seat looks okay, if you can even see it down in there. Yeah, you can, a little bit. All right. So I think what I'm going to do before I start spraying a whole bunch of cleaner in here, even though I've got replacement seats coming, I'm going to see if I can pull that out ahead of time. Got my handy dental picks. These are cheap, you can get them anywhere. I don't know if you'll be able to see me get it in there, but I'm basically just going to grab that O-ring seat in there with this and try to prise it out. You can always pick the worst times for lighting here. It might have ripped. I think I might have ripped through it already, so maybe that seat is not recoverable. Should I try to get a better angle here so you can actually see it, hopefully. And the glare is so bad I can't. My phone just said device is too hot, video quality may be reduced. I feel like we haven't even done anything yet. It is over 80 degrees outside. That seat is it's decaying in there. You might not see it now, but we'll see when I get it out. In fact, I may just pause the video for now until I get it out of there. Repositioned so that my camera is out of direct sunlight as well, so hopefully your video quality will not diminish. You just might not be able to see things as well. So that's torn. It didn't seem like it was swollen, but I don't think it's going to seal properly now that it's torn. And we had to get it out of there anyway to clean it because that doesn't look very good. I might as well get the rest of this gasket off here. That's one half of it already fell off. So I guess let's start with, we already got the pin cleaned up mostly. Let's get the float. Wow, yeah, it's gritty too. Wonder if somebody ran a lot with, yeah, it's like, feels like sand. This mower, if you remember, didn't have a air filter on it, or the cover for it, so I wonder if somebody was using this to mow without any air filter for a period of time. I guess that would explain why it was so stiff, although some of that stiffness again could be me being a newbie at all this and not having worked on literally any small engines that have a lawnmower, a modern lawnmower brake on it. I was trying to pull it over with the brake engaged, and that's on me. But I still feel like a lot of that stiffness as well was going on in the cylinder area, because this machine is clearly sat and was not functioning for a long time. And I'm sure anybody could say it's probably not too important to clean all of this off of the float, but with it being as gritty as it is, I don't want it. When this thing's put back into service, all that grit coming off and going right into the cylinder and causing friction that we don't need. If it goes back into service, right? I mean, we haven't had the thing running off of anything other than carb cleaner yet. That's why I'm swapping wheels between two different mowers at the moment, because I don't know whether or not I'll even get this one working, so or the other one. So, you know, why order a mower wheel if you can just pull one off a mower you're scrapping anyway? All right. See, that's good enough for that. Now, say that looks bad inside this carb. Doesn't look exactly great, but I've already worked on another Briggs. I think that was the brush cutter. That looked worse than that on the inside, and I got it running without, I don't think I had to replace any parts on that. So we might get lucky again. We might not. I mean, I guess we're already in for replacement seat, but those on their own you can get really cheap on Amazon from third parties. You can get a pack of them for like $5. You get like 10 of them for like $5. Well, 10, 20 of them, depends. I don't understand why. I think there might be some that have plastic bits on them, but an all metal needle, it's like, why would you? Wow, we're not focusing right, are we? I hope we don't have a problem with this since it's so dark here. Maybe we'll move the camera a little bit more so we've got some more light. Yeah, so it's like, why would you replace that? I mean, if you can clean all the varnish off of it, doesn't seem like any reason to replace this part. You'd think it'd be harder to clean in the small recesses in the carb that you keep no matter what than it would be to clean off the needle properly. I don't understand. Somebody that's worked on small engines might be able to chime in on that. I'm just using a regular toothbrush for this, and the toothbrush isn't clean, but that's not the important part. You know, you can use the carb cleaner to blast off whatever deposits you put on it. The brush is just going to get things loose that you can't reach real easy. Give you a little more friction than you would have otherwise. That looks pretty clean to me. Let's just clean this up in general first. Getting whatever recesses we can fit in, because the longer that carb cleaner can sit, better shape we'll be in as far as breaking up whatever deposits and or blockages there might be. I think I'm running out. Wow, yeah, that stuff is thick. This sat for a long time with fuel in it, so I guess it's no surprise that it didn't just run when all we did was take the bowl off and clean the main jets. There's a lot more problems going on here than just that. You know what? I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to use my copper brush again. I'll just try not to get the O-ring too bad with the copper. See how that stuff is just turning to dust and blowing away? And again, I'm sure somebody's got some very good reason to be yelling at the screen and telling me not to use copper. But I don't care. It's so much faster. See? Look at all that stuff just coming off. All right, got our universal carb cleaning tool. We'll start jamming it down some of these recesses. Oh wow, there's actually, it's funny how when that stuff gets dry, it almost blends in with the metal. It gets wet again, and then you can see it. So if it's that stuck on there, just imagine the passages. Okay, that's good enough for me. Okay, that seems relatively free, huh? I actually like that this is all kinked up, because then if it's not perfectly straight, then it can go into wider passages and potentially scrape things off the walls when you spin it around. That one seems pretty clean inside though. I'm sorry about the lighting if it's not bright enough. I'm trying to keep my phone from overheating and reducing the video quality. We're just going to go through and clean everything we can find that looks like it could possibly plug up. I'm not enthusiastic about the fact that this O-ring for the bowl still feels sticky. Like it's breaking down, like that wasn't just the varnish on it. I might pause the video here and see if I can find something that will actually fit down there, because that doesn't look like it's totally free. Alright, I'm back with more carb cleaner. It's crazy how much of this stuff you go through. It's almost, with Briggs carbs, it's almost cheaper to replace the carb than to clean it with carb cleaner at this point. But I found this is some old floral wire, I guess is what you would call it. And if the camera will actually focus on it. Focus my finger, there we go. You can see that the paint is stripped off of it. So that's how tight it was, fitting in that brass jet there. You can actually see where the paint scraped off of it while I was sticking it in there. So it fit in there very tightly. I had to force it in there and jiggle it quite a bit, and eventually it went all the way through. So I think that passage, which might have been one of our problems, should be cleared out now. Oh, you can't even see it. Yeah. There's a good amount of cleaner coming out of there now, so I think we're good there. Still a whole bunch of garbage on the outside of this. But everything on the whole is looking a lot better than it was. So, yeah, I think we're in good shape with this. Well, other than this foam falling apart. I hope that's not too important. This foam on the throttle control, every one that I've worked on, that just disintegrated. As far as this, parts aren't here yet, though, by the way. So the seat I can't put back in yet. We're gonna have to do that when the parts come in. But this gasket, I know I've got a spare Briggs carb that I pulled off of my pressure washer, so I might go take a look at that quick and see if that one's in better shape than this one, and maybe we can use that. Otherwise, this is ready to go back together when I've got parts. Alright, we're back. The parts came while we had our little intermission. All I did, and you didn't really need to do it, is I just need to see it. I cleaned this out a little better with a cotton swab and cleaned the rest of the body off a little more. That's all I've done off screen. The seat, and this is interesting, I'm gonna have to talk about that in another video. I got a pack of these for Briggs, and then I got some rebuild kits for Tecumsehs that come with these, and they look exactly the same. Like the diameter and everything looks exactly the same, so it's interesting. I wonder if they're totally interchangeable. The way you put these in, though, is the grooved end goes down in this hole and the flat side stays up. So let's see if we can get that on video here and actually get it the right way first time. Maybe I'll use that pick, which, give me a second, I should probably try to clean off with carb cleaner because I've got little bits of seat on it still. We don't need all that garbage down in there. Alright. And it's like the lighting's gotten better too. So where... Okay. That's where we needed to go. You can just barely see it, but we've got it in the right orientation now. Now that I've got it relatively straight, I think I'm going to try to just take a clean Q-tip and push it down the rest of the way. Oh. Still kinked in there. There we go. I just pushed around the edges. It really does not want to get enough light in there. You can just barely see it, that it's straight in there now. Yep. Yeah, that's good to go now. So, with these Briggs floats and needles, what you do is you've got this tab that holds the needle up, well, from coming up, and you've got shelves on either side that kind of cradle it. So you just slide it in like that, and then that goes down in our little recess there, and we get our pin, line everything back up. Okay, so that's sitting much flatter than it was before, so that thing being all gummed up was probably part of our problem. Gasket, right? Turns out I don't have a gasket. I must have used the gasket that came with the new carb, just because I had it. Where did I put my bowl? Oh, right. Literally hiding under a rock. How about that? Huh. Yeah, even this jet got more gunk on it too. It's interesting. Must have been some real nasty like gel in the bottom of the gas tank to where this all got gunked up again. So maybe it was best that we had to take everything apart again anyway, if we want this thing to run right. Alright. Looks pretty clear. That's working. Look at that haze in there. That's after I've already wiped this thing out before. Don't want all that gunk in there. Alright. That looks cleaner than the last time even. I had brought gloves again. I forgot to bother to even put them on this time. Alright. So that's just going to go back there. Don't forget your little fiber washer. That goes there. I guess that could be clean, but whatever. It's just cosmetic on the outside. Alright, ought to be tight enough. So, the question is this... The gasket's pretty gunked up too. Is this old gasket even usable anymore? I mean, the most important thing is that that is clear, right? Without it leaking. And we've got that, basically. Somehow all that's supposed to go back on there. Maybe you'll figure it out. We'll mock it up here off camera. All right. I guess this should be relatively self-explanatory, but I should probably show you how to put the carb back on. You can't see it too well, but this is your intake with an O-ring on it, which seems to be okay. And then this side that's got the divot in it and your throttle plate and everything, that goes over that end. And it's probably easiest to put your fuel line back on first in this case, since this one's extremely stiff. It doesn't even want to go any further than that. That's interesting. Actually, you know what? We're gonna put this linkage on first, if you can see that. And that goes, there's a few different holes there, so you can get messed up, especially on the replacement carbs. There's more even. It goes into this one here that almost looks like a donut. And you just have to pivot it to where that Z will fit back over top. Then we'll put on the fuel line. And get that back over the intake. And that intake you don't want to scrape at too much with pliers or screwdrivers. I ended up cracking the freaking intake on the pressure washer. It still works, but I was actually surprised just scraping around a little bit with a screwdriver, and the intake cracked. For as good as a reputation as these Quantums have, I was not expecting that. See how I've got all my screws right here? I don't move them anywhere, because then I know exactly where they go. And these are 3/8. What the heck is... Got a bird fight going on above us too. They must be fighting over toilet rights. Maybe these things are becoming too popular with the birds. I should get rid of them sooner rather than later. Alright, we can get this line back on. I really do not like how that doesn't go on all the way. I almost feel like I should be replacing the whole line. But hey, whatever, if it works, right? If it works, it works. assuming it will work. Yeah, that's the problem, right? So this will be interesting. Seeing if we can get any of this to stay together. I guess the easiest way to do it might be throw it all back on the, yeah, I think that's what's going to be the plan here. Throw it all back on the air cleaner. Ooh. Well, that's not good. Yeah. We might be taking this right back off and waiting on this mower. See that? I think that's what seals the fuel from the primer and everything. Maybe that'll just make the priming process leaky. It's funny how that's the one thing I was hoping would not go wrong. Well, so we've got our breather tube that needs to go back down here. I guess I'm gonna have to be very careful with lining this up properly and not losing what's left of our gasket for testing purposes, huh? We're in the right place. I'm not confident at this point that this thing's gonna run right with that gasket that destroyed, but I'm sure somebody else that's worked on more of these can tell me. I know I haven't tried to run one with a gasket that ruined. I gotta find the right socket for these screws again. .5/16. I guess it should, right? You don't need to see the rest of this. I'll just tighten these screws back up. All right, we're back with the popular bird toilet mower. This is the gas that came out of the tank. There's some junk in it, so otherwise there's no water. So what I'm gonna do is I had some coffee filters. I don't know where they are. I use a French press and have for a long time, so those filters haven't been used for anything in a long time, so I couldn't find it. But I'm going to use some paper towel to just filter this back into the gas tank and see how that works. I would say that that's working pretty well. We got some junk in there. All right, I think we're as ready as we'll ever be to try this one more time with that gasket that's cut in half. This is also a 23-year-old mower, 23 I think, 21. That sat for probably about 10 years getting crapped on by birds. So we'll see if that original carb, after cleaning it and just replacing the seat, will get things going here. Just off the primer, and if not, then I'll resort to some carb cleaner. I don't know if that's doing anything. That gasket might not be allowing it to get suction. It sounds different. little smoky. I found a zip tie that was clearly meant for holding that for working on it. All of the Briggs Quantums that I've worked on have been like this. They might smoke for 5-10 minutes, might belch some oil out of the muffler. Then I'll change the oil and everything should be good at that point. A few minutes later, running much better, no more smoke. Didn't even have to change the oil. Here's the oil that came out. You can see a little silver in there, and it's very dark. Seems to me almost like all these Quantums, it's like they were just so reliable, nobody ever had to change the oil. So it's probably never been changed in here. Every single one that I've worked on, the Quantum, the oil has been super dark. And then finally the carb gets gummed up and it goes out of service, I guess. All right, so what do you think? That's our bird toilet mower. I've got the wheel off of it right now for the Tecumseh that's been sharing it. That wheel is going to come back to this mower because I know it's good now. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot of experience. I've worked on 3 now of these Quantums. They've all been easy to get running. Coming up, we've got another 2 mowers here. Well, 3. This is all in the lot for $20. This is another Tecumseh. The engine's free, otherwise I don't know anything else. I don't know if that airbox even goes to it. It's missing a blade in the adapter, so that's why I haven't worked on that one yet. Then this one is an interesting old Sears Roebuck & Company with a Briggs. Old 3.5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton, just like on my Simplicity. I think the only difference is I've got the recoil that's on the side instead of the top. And I guess the orientation is different too. My oil fill doesn't even have a dipstick. This one does. It's literally just a hole down here right into the oil pan practically. The most interesting thing about this one is somebody welded on like the connector for the handles for a different mower. I think that was the guy I got it from. He said this was the one that ran most recently, so this will probably be the easiest one to start and run. Other than that, that's like one of the most reliable Briggs engines ever. Yeah, that's the same carb that's on mine, so I'm almost tempted to just take that off and keep that for my Simplicity. I probably can't even sell this whole mower for more than what these sell for on eBay, these carbs. But yeah, that's that one. It's got an interesting throttle control. No brake. That's all it is, because of how old it is. Chrome handlebars. Little plastic handle. Here's our Tecumseh that I just got running. That video will be coming out later, I suppose. This was I dubbed it the, well, I dubbed the other one the bird toilet. This one's interesting because it's got a light switch on it. There's no safety bar, that was deleted. It's got a light switch, wire up to the kill switch on the coil, which you can't see at the moment. You'll see it in the proper video when it comes out. This has been a ride. This is my first Tecumseh engine that I've ever worked on. And we made a lot of progress. That whole carb is basically completely rebuilt now. And doing all this with basically no experience, minimal tools. Anybody can do this stuff. Let me know what you think, what I could improve, what I should do with these mowers. You could ask me questions, but I don't know a whole lot yet. Thanks for watching.